Welcome to Freeform Radio on the Freeform Network. You can follow us on Twitter at FFR Podcast. Remember to send your questions and suggestions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. There is how we communicate with our listeners. Whatever comments or reviews or notes you may have on the show, send them there, ffnquestions@gmail.com. Again, in Freeform Radio, we got Danny with us today.
Yes, sir, man. Just got out of church. And it was weird. Today's message was anxiety. And I know anxiety is all over the world nowadays. So feel good. God's with you, and he's going to help you, man.
Yeah, and then we got Noel with us today.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're all doing well.
And it's all good, Andy. We hope everybody had a good Easter. Dan, I think I'm gonna have to say I'm converting into a Christer, so I'm gonna try to make it up more to church. But with that being said, at least someone is still has faith.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I know that you're a new daddy there, and it's tough when your kids really, you can't tell them, relax, calm down, because the kid doesn't understand that. So I get it.
It presents it like you talked about anxiety. It doesn't bring anxiety to me, but somebody else, and it does has its challenges.
Right.
But let's get the show rolling, everybody. We got so we're gonna go to Danny here. It looks like he's been watching a special, the Chris Rock. I think this is one where he addresses what happened at the Oscars. That's what I'm guessing. I have not seen it. I've seen a bunch of clips, but I haven't seen the special. Is that the one that we're talking about here, Danny?
So yeah, the Chris Rock special that I watched, it's the one that just dropped on Netflix a few weeks ago, or about a month ago now. And yeah, the whole show overall was okay. Nothing outrageous or anything like that. But yeah, he does address the slap from Will Smith, and he really lets the gloves off, man. I think he kind of zinged them back, kind of challenged his manhood. That
Manhood.
That's the way I perceived it. If somebody were to talk to me the way he was addressing Will Smith, I'd be like, this guy's challenging my manhood. So I didn't really hear too much of a rebuttal from Will Smith, but yeah, Chris Rock kind of laid into him and said, everybody else has been, basically calling him a bitch or something to that effect. And everybody else, he took it, but he makes an innocent joke, doesn't even call him a bitch or nothing, just makes an innocent joke, or at least Chris Rock perceives it as being innocent. And that's the guy he decided to blow up on, and not everybody else who was punking him in his face. So Chris Rock definitely plays a little bit of the victim card, rightfully so, I think. But yeah, the jokes, they were aplenty on Will Smith's name there. So yeah, you mentioned you haven't seen it, Andy?
No, I heard about it, and because he addresses the slap from the Oscars, and like he's been kind of like quiet about it. I know some of his peers and I don't want to say people he works with, but people around his inner circle has come out and talked about it, and I was kind of shocked he didn't say much. And then they were saying he kind of moved on, and then so that's why I said like, huh. And then I heard the special, and then I heard a couple lines here. I haven't seen the whole bit on it, but to me, I think Chris Rock, like you said, he's playing the victim role. I felt like he should have done something back right there, then and there, but he decided not to. And people are like, "Oh, he's the bigger man," but I don't know. I mean, to me, like when a dude slaps you, in the old days, they would have fucking duels about this shit. So I don't know. I mean, it's I know in the community it was everybody had different reactions, and everybody was shitting on Will Smith, but I was like, why didn't Chris Rock do more? I know maybe he's not that type of man or person, but yeah.
Did you watch it, Noel?
No, but I have heard that it came out, and I was thinking about watching it pretty soon. There's a lot of comedians that I've been wanting to catch up on, but nah, I haven't checked this one out yet.
Yeah, overall the special was okay. So definitely worth a watch, especially if you're a Chris Rock fan. Um, but yeah, it was a pretty good special. But jumping into something else that I was up to just recently, went to the community college over here because, like everybody might know, I moved out to Lake County, and I'm thinking of going back and taking some more courses. And even for my son in the future, he's just barely going to high school, but you never know. I'm not really sure what his college aspirations are going to be, but I figured let's take the whole family out to the community college over here in Lake County. And they had an open house, so they were inviting everybody, and there was kind of the typical MO, what you would expect. They had a bunch of tables, each table dedicated to a specific specialty that they offer at the college. Doctors, physicians, a bunch of different things. Everything down to court sonographers and stuff like that. There's a bunch of different stuff there to really give you an idea of future careers that you can go in for. And I gotta say, man, it was a nice looking college, very big. The one here in Lake County is actually divided into like four or maybe five, if you consider it, separate colleges. And depending on what your major is and what you're trying to um, go for in the future, they have the classes in different campuses. So they call it four different campuses. And the one that I was interested in is in engineering. So it was over here in Grays Lake. And Junior even dug it too, man. One of the reasons I bring it up is what was weird about it is when we go and we're kind of walking in and people are welcoming us and whatnot, right away everybody gravitates to Junior. They're like, "Yeah, what's your name? What do you want to be when you grow up? And what's your future? And this and that." And I'm like, man, I wonder if they think I'm here mainly for Junior, which that was one of the reasons why I brought him with. But it was because I want to go back to school, and it was just really funny because everybody kept talking to him. Every booth we went up to, every classroom we walked into, presentations, they were really kind of gravitating towards him until the teachers or whoever would ask him what grade he's in, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm in 8th grade." And they're like, "Oh, this is a little soon for you, but just to give you an idea of your future, you can do this, this, and this." And then that's when I kind of took over and told them, "Yeah, I'm actually the one interested in going back." And then even Alana, some of the classes piqued her interest, and so now it might even be a trifecta of taking some courses and going to check it out.
You're like, is this where you sign up for the GED test?
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
have four. How many campuses? You said four.
I think four main ones. So there's one in Gurney. I think the other one's Mundelein, Waukegan, and then the Grays Lake. And I think they have a fifth one for like tech
And they're
or
all Lake
something.
County, like community college. They just have four different campuses.
Yeah, I thought it was weird
Damn,
myself.
big.
Yeah, I thought it was weird myself. Like when you go to, I used to go to Triton Community College. They really only have one main campus. Now they partner with other campuses and they share certain assets that they have. But yeah, no, this is four separate campuses that they offer. And at first, since it's an open house, I was just like, which one do I go to? And from Googling, the engineering heavy classes would be in the one that I went to, Grays Lake. But very cool campus, very nice. The classrooms seem really high tech, like they invested a lot of money. Um, really cool stuff there. Um, I'm not sure. I got to apply, see what credits transfer over, and then we'll see where it goes. But very cool, very promising. Hopefully, something comes of it.
Not cool, man. It's interesting. I always thought Triton's college was. I mean, I went there too. Was pretty big, but once you go out to these other counties, you're starting to see much bigger JUCO colleges, and they're pretty massive compared to Triton. And I feel like Triton's not that it's falling back. It's kind of outdated because they have some huge facilities for JUCOs going outside of Cook County now, like in the other neighboring counties.
For sure, man. But you're selling them Triton short, man. They just got that Kirby Puckett field, man.
The
That's
field,
awesome. Yeah, heck yeah.
but it has produced some baseball players, and they do have that building on the other side of was it River Grove or First Avenue or something or Fifth, and then they have the planetarium or whatever. So I mean, it was pretty cool. But you go out here, even Harper College is pretty massive for
Right.
DuPage for COD, College of DuPage or whatever, and that's a pretty big, huge. It's one, I believe it's one campus, but it's pretty massive.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I went to check it out, so we'll see what that brings, and I'll bring you any news in the future. Last quick thing to jump on. I watched the Mario movie. Just came out a week or so ago. Really cool movie. If you're a Mario fan, it's a definitely must watch. It hits all the nostalgia parts, all the music, all the characters, all the little sound effects. It just brings you back all the way from the original Mario all the way to the current stuff, Galaxy, Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo. It was just a really cool nostalgia pop. Uh, the actors with the voices took a little getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's very awesome. So definitely recommend it for any Super Mario fans out there.
That you were supporting the John Leguizamo boycott, man.
Yeah, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about that when I went to see it, but when I left and I was just googling like Easter eggs, Super Mario movie, and I saw some. I saw the Leguizamo thing pop up on one of the views, and yeah, I guess he's boycotting it because there's not enough Latinos actors.
Representation, man.
I think it's kind of ludicrous myself. I'm a Leguizamo fan a little bit, but I think lately his politics, he's becoming more of a politician than he is an actor. And maybe he should use it as a platform because he's got a big audience, but I don't like a lot of his views, so I'm starting to like him a little bit less. But hey, to each their own. You want to preach what you want, that's up to you.
The thing he's bitching about, and like he took when he played the Mario Brothers movie, it was a Hispanic guy playing an Italian plumber. So say what you will, but whatever, man. Everybody has a cause now, and you want to see it, see it. If you don't, don't.
Yeah, I don't think his argument holds much water, but like you said, to each their own. But let's jump off of me and jump over here to Noel. Oh, watch Creed 3. I got this on my download queue. Want to check it out. But is this the one where he fights Mike Tyson's kid? Is that the premise here, or did they scrap that idea? I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure they scrapped that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, to my knowledge, no, it's not anyone's like famous kid or anything. It's it's pretty much about his childhood friend. It gives a little bit more backstory. I think at this point, like they're just kind of like making stuff up because some of it didn't really make much sense, but I just kind of took it. I'm like, all right, whatever, at face value, whatever they're saying, all right, that's what it is. But it's about Adonis and well, Creed. You know him growing up with his friend who got in trouble trying to like protect him from like these people that were abusive to them growing up. It looks like they were like a part of like a group home or something, and there were people that picked on them and bullied them. And so at one point they see them down the line, and they beat those guys up, and then the cops come, and one of the guys has a gun, so the cops arrest him, and he goes to jail. But Creed runs away and is able to get away, and therefore his life never, went off track. If anything, it helped him go on the right track, and that's it progressed to the point where he's the champion now. He trained and all that with Rocky and all that. But then going to present time now, he's the champion. He retires, but the new champion, he's like training them in his gym and all that. And then out of nowhere, the friend that went to jail as a kid gets out of jail, and he meets up, and they reconnect, and he feels like he owes him a favor, so he's like, hey, you could train in my gym, so we could help you out. If you need anything, let me know. And so he starts training at the guy's gym, and he's like, hey, I want to fight for the belt. And Creed's like, nah, you're too new. Like, how are you gonna fight for the belt? Like, you don't even have any like fights in your record, and you're not a professional. You're an amateur boxer. But anyway, I don't want to spoil the whole story. I'm not gonna recount the whole thing, but essentially it leads up to them two fighting each other, and it's like squashing the beef that they had, because the guy that went to jail kind of felt like Creed did him wrong. He's like, you ran away, it was your fault. And it's pretty decent. I wouldn't say it's like the best of the Creed series, but it's not bad. It's worth watching. So if you get a chance, I think it'd be pretty decent to watch. I didn't like that Rocky wasn't in it. I thought, you know, since he survived the cancer thing in the other movie, I figured he would have been in this third one. Even Sylvester Stallone said he wasn't gonna watch Creed 3 because, kind of like that John Leguizamo, he's like kind of boycotting it on his end, right? He's not telling people not to see it, but he's not gonna see it, and I don't know. I thought
He
it was
want,
decent.
yeah, he wants the rights to the Rocky because for him to make the first Rocky to the Winklers, the producers, he had to sell them the movie and the rights, and then from there, he's always like made it. But I think this one, he said, well, this is what he said in an interview. He wants the rights back so he could live it to his kids, and
Yeah.
that's why, because he actually wrote the script, but he sold the rights, and that's why he's like, I think he kind of was playing hardball on this new one, but who knows?
Right, I did hear some about that with Henry Winkler, right?
Yeah, the Irwin or Henry Winkler, like there's like they're like a family or something, and they're the ones that own the
Right.
rights to it.
Yeah, the Fonz, man. I heard he helped him out and all that, and I even think they were in a movie together.
The
So kind of like
Wanderers.
Greaser, or is that what it was? The
Yeah,
Wander?
yeah.
Uh,
When I was had cable, it was on all the time, and I would watch it. I didn't get. I'm like, why is Rocky and Fonzie together? Like it was weird.
was it like a low budget The
Yeah, it
Outsiders?
was like low ball. Yeah, yeah. It was like, yeah, it was weird. Like I said, I watched it as a kid. I never really understood this. This is all I can remember. Still, Rocky and Fonzie were in a movie. And I'm like, Fonzie's a little bit tougher in this one than the show.
Ah, shit. Well, I'll have to check that out and see how that compares. But yeah, I mean, Creed 3 is all right. I'd give it like a 6.5. Yeah, I
Yeah, I mean, I
think
want to check it
that's
out.
good.
I haven't really seen anything, and I don't know how it did in the box office. I know it had a big opening weekend, but I haven't heard much since.
Yeah, no, but it's decent enough to watch. Good fighting, good action scenes, and like the guy looks like intimidating and like a decent villain, and they build it up well, like the rivalry and the marketing and all that. It was all right. I'd give it a chance,
Did
but
they still have a montage?
montage.
Like
Uh,
like a training montage where Creed gets like fat and he gains like 50 pounds, and they're like, "Man, fight!" And then he starts training really hard.
nah, not so much like that. Nah, he
Oh, okay.
he's stayed in relatively good shape, and I think he does train a little bit, but it's not. It's nothing crazy like
Like a
typically
Rocky
in this.
montage. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's not climbing mountains to
yeah.
House on Fire.
No, no.
That's
Drago.
actually a pretty cool fucking scene,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, it's pretty decent, man. I'm not gonna criticize it too much. It did leave some, me wanting more of Rocky in it, but it is what it is. I don't even know if there'll be a fourth, but either way, I'm a fan of the series, so I wanted to watch number three. But yeah, since we mentioned Henry Winkler, let me switch over to the next topic I got here. I've been watching some old school sitcoms, just a bunch of different ones, and then catching up to like the modern ones. So I watched Happy Days with Fonzie in it. I watched Cheers with with
Real
that.
quick, Noel, how far are you
Uh,
getting along on Happy Days? You watched the whole series or just
I watched the first two seasons.
okay?
Just because there's so many episodes, and I don't think I can watch it
That
all.
was on
You know,
forever. Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the first two seasons were solid. I'll probably watch it here and there, kind of go through it, but I'm not like in a hurry to binge or anything. It's just kind of one of those things during the week. Like work takes a lot out of me. I get home, maybe I'll watch something here and there, but I'm not like I don't have too much time when I get home from work. So something like a sitcom like Happy Days, it's like a 20-minute episode. I can fit in maybe one or two of those, and then start getting ready to wind down for the night and all that. But yeah, it was interesting, man. I like the '50s. I like the style. I like the old fashioned values, what they stood for, and just the family dynamic. People very respectful, very neat mannered, well mannered, and all that. And it's like a time capsule, man. Like it's not. It's the world is so different from that point in that time period, and so it was really cool to see that. And when I was growing up, because I used to watch the Nick at Night reruns and all that shit, I used to see Fonzie in there. I thought he was the coolest guy. And growing up now, like I'm an adult, I'm like, man, Fonzie is so undersized to be acting so tough because he's the shortest guy in the show. Everyone's taller than him and everyone's bigger than him. And I'm like, how is this guy acting so tough? Like, if he got in a real fight, would he really be able to beat people up like the way he like tries to intimidate people? But anyway,
And then and
it
later
is
on, some of the roles he plays is just like it contradicts what like Fonzie is. He's like a wimp, scaredy cat, and shit like that, right? And then
exactly,
in that he's
man.
like so tough and cool. He don't even talk that much, and he always got a girl around him.
Yeah, that was another part. I'm like, this guy's a creeper, man. He's
Yeah.
just waiting outside like the the restaurant all the time. Doesn't do jack shit all day, just outside the restaurant trying to get ladies. And I'm just like, damn, this guy is a little bit of a creeper, but hey, I guess whatever he's got to do to get it. Um, but yeah, so I watched Happy Days. I watched Cheers. What I like about Cheers, I don't know if you guys have watched a lot of that, but I like that bar setting and the fact that every episode's in this bar. It doesn't really go out too far. There's a few other places they'll, other locations they'll be at, but like 99% is at the bar, and I like that dynamic, and how far they go with it, just being like isolated in one location, yet they can still make so many different storylines that are very funny. Especially the first season was it had me cracking up, and I was able to get more of the humor because as a kid, so many of those jokes go over my head. As a kid, I didn't really understand them, and now that I'm older, I get all the innuendos. I get all the more mature jokes, that I missed as a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I must have missed it because I've watched a few Cheers and it just never hit me. But it was at a younger age. Maybe I should watch it like you mentioned now and see if it gravitates to me.
I think you'd like it more. Yeah, it's a chill show too, man. Like it's just cool the bar atmosphere, drinking a couple beers, talking with people. Everyone's got a unique life going on, and it's hilarious. Like they're all got some weird stuff going on. It's funny. And anyway, moving on, Seinfeld. It's like one of my all-time favorite shows of comedy, and and then The Office was more modern, and that was like probably the number two spot in terms of all-time favorite comedy shows. I think it'd
Yeah,
be
for
The
sure.
Office.
Yeah, Seinfeld and The Office classics.
Yeah. And yeah, dude, it's just nice to like when you get out of work and maybe it's a stressful day or whatever and you're dealing with stuff. just to have something you could put on 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and really laugh and just not worry about anything. So, what kind of sitcoms do you guys watch?
Well, right now I'm rewatching Roseanne. I'm on season 6. And
Nice.
the first four and a half seasons, it's like great TV. It's relatable. You know, John Leguizamo, we were talking about him about representation. They were representing poor people, and the biggest argument is always about money and how they can't. They're always trying to get by. So I mean, it's great. Right now, I'm like halfway through season 6, and this is where I think the show lasted to 9 seasons. So this is where the point where they're starting to get a little bit of what I call of they're just trying to get reaction. Like some of the episodes are just like, oh, Jackie's mom are just like, let's try to like have her making out with like dudes and everybody's like sick to their stomach. Like it's just that type of shit. Like it's not like great TV. It's just funny, but it's just like dumb funny. I call it. It's popcorn funny. It's not like some serious like shit where the other episodes where they're struggling, but it's like a dark comedy.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because we just barely started watching season 1. But yeah, to yours, Noel, I usually Seinfeld and The Office are some of my go-tos whenever I just like want mindless fun. I don't really watch them too much anymore, but I'll like click it on as I'm like cleaning up the living room or as if I'm putting away laundry. I'll click it on and just have it in the background, and it's just something that you glance over, you see that joke, and you're like, yes, yes, that's funny, and it's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's great TV.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah, man, it's good to watch something funny every now and again, man. The world is full of too much like drama, and if you allow yourself, that's all you're gonna hear is all the news and just the crazy stuff going on in the world. So every now and again, shut down the brain a little bit and just watch some funny that's just over the top, obscure, and hilarious. And there's so many good shows, man. Roseanne, like to your point, Andy, Roseanne is it does have like this like just funny, mindless humor, but there's also some good lessons
Right.
in it, and surprisingly too. Like I wouldn't think you could get a lot of lessons from Roseanne, but you do. Like at the very core of it, she is a decent person, and her and Dan Damian and they raise their family to try to be upstanding people, even though they are struggling with financially and all that stuff. Up there with like Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Family Matters, they had like this unique recipe for like comedy, yet moments of like life lessons that are like rooted in like realness and like serious moments there.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
no, for sure.
But yeah, shifting it over back to you, Andy. Let's see here, man. You got a controversy to let us know about? Looks like Bud Light's got something going on. Well, what happened with Bud Light?
I think everybody knows what that's going on. That's why we watch mindless, crappy TV shows. So I mean, unless you've been living under the rock, y'all know about what's going on with Bud Light. I mean, you know what's going on, right, Dan?
No, actually, I haven't seen the commercial. I just barely found out about this yesterday. Yeah, I
You
don't.
have. What about you, Noel?
I,
What do
I
you know?
have I have lived under a rock for a while.
Nah, the only controversy is that they charge money for this shitty beer. That's the only controversy I know about.
So Bud Light sent some type of package to the influencer, then that Mulvaney, the person that is was a man, now is transitioned into a woman. And then it came a year ago where that person came out to say like, I'm gonna be a woman. I identify as a woman. So Bud Light send them a case of beer to promote Bud Light, and then all hell broke loose. People on the internet got pissed. They're pissed that Bud Light would do this. I mean, to someone there's a lot of thoughts on Dylan Mulvaney. I believe that's the influencer's name. Um, the Some people think it's an act. Some people think it's like BS. Some people think it's like real. So there's a train of thought all across the board. But I'm going to talk more about the response, how Twitter and the internet got all pissed off, and how this is impacted. It impacted Bud Light or Budweiser so bad. They lost their stock dropped. They lost between $5 and $6 billion in value because people are, especially in the Midwest and the South, no one's buying that beer. I mean, it was already a cheap beer, like Noel kind of mentioned, like Bud Light, Miller Lite, Anheuser Busch. They're all struggling right now, especially with craft beers. People prefer a quality beer, but they were struggling in this little stunt that they did. I don't know the full details, if they paid them or not, but it upset enough people. Kid Rock was shooting cases of Bud Light with guns. People were running over Bud Lights like with trucks. People are swearing it off forever. To me, I personally don't give a fuck. I mean, you don't want to buy their beer, don't buy it. But this is one of the cases where these brands, corporations take these political views from and they push their view, not knowing who their customer is. That's a big proponent. Like, you got to know who your listeners and your customers are, uh, because sometimes if you do stuff like this, there's gonna be some pushback.
I gotta say, man, I really don't know. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the first I heard about it was yesterday because I had kind of seen it a little bit on YouTube. I don't go on social media too much anymore, but I started seeing some stuff pop up. And I haven't seen the commercial, but who cares at the end of the day? Who's the spokes, actor or whatever? I don't think it matters. If you don't like the beer, like Noel said, you're not going to drink it, regardless if Michael Jordan's out there and he's just like, "Hey, man, drink Budweiser." It's not gonna make you run out there and buy it. So whoever's advertising it, it doesn't matter. I think if anything, this kind of shows maybe the closed-minded people are. They might not agree with this guy's transition, which whatever, that's on them. I don't care either way. But what's that have to do with the beer? You either like the beer or you don't, and you're going to drink it or not. Eh, eh, half the time they just have a horse riding across some land, and then it's like Budweiser, and that's it. So there's nothing like, oh my God, I hate horses, I'm not drinking this beer. It's like, who cares what it is? It doesn't really matter to me.
Well, again, that's getting to know your main customer, which is, it's a family guy. It's probably some guy in his 30s and 40s with a family, who most likely in the Midwest, because they're based out of St. Louis and or down south, and that's people who've been supporting you for decades, generations, and then you do stuff like this, and kind of it upsets them. So that political stance that as a corporation you just took cost the company $6 billion. But I'm with you, Dan. I'm like, I don't buy Bud Light, but that's the price they paid for having that political stance of supporting someone who is transitioning, which is fine. Like I said, but people made their voice heard, and they're gonna choose not to purchase that corporation's beer. I mean, I seen signs of it. I personally don't care, like I said, but I get it. People have connections to brand, and the company is over 100 years old, so it is. It's a lot of families and stuff people have been drinking it for. It's been in their family, and this pushed them over the edge. Same thing with how you were talking about the Mario movie. A lot of people went to it when I was reading the metric show and the data, because it didn't have this political slant like from the last Disney movies, and it was just good old fashioned adventure. It didn't have this like hidden agenda, and that's one of the reasons it did so good. And people were like, early on in the reviews, people were like, oh, another dude gonna go save a chick. Like, this is so dumb. It's outdated. But guess what? Mario Brothers movie proved all that wrong, and it did a ton of fucking money. So,
I do sort of agree with that. Now like I mentioned, I don't care who the spokes actor is, but there are certain things that to me don't make sense. Um, while we were waiting to watch Mario, there was a trailer, and I guess they're making a new Little Mermaid, and
yes.
now it's a black character playing Ariel, which I don't have a problem with there being black characters or anything like that, but it's different for the sake of changing, and I don't know if it's part of this woke thing that you're kind of describing, but to me, like I was mentioning to Lana, I'm like, the movie will probably be good, who knows, but I don't understand why things need to be
With the Little
forced on.
Mermaid?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you saw the trailer for the new one.
The last live action Disney movies, they all sucked. It started with Lion King. I heard Pinocchio tanked. I know they did one for Peter Pan, and there's already stuff talking about how, with the pronoun stuff, and we'll see how it goes. And I saw the trailer of the Little Mermaid singing. And to me, I'm like, I probably won't see it, but I'm gonna be interested to see what the reviews come out for it.
Yeah, for sure. So who knows what's going to come from it?
Yeah, I heard right now they're just changing a lot of the characters that were, I guess, originally redheads, and there was like this meme about it, and it's not just like on Disney; it's all over the place. Even DC's done it, where they not only race swap, but like they're essentially erasing any redheads in, I guess, cinema altogether. And like they show at least like 15 different occurrences of an original red-headed character being swapped for, a different either race or hair color, ethnicity, everything.
Really, man? Are they trying to cancel Bill Burr too, man? He's a redhead.
Oh, Jesus. It's like I haven't seen Wakanda Forever. I just know there's a couple YouTube reviewers that I watch, and one of them is a Hispanic guy, and he's like, what they did to the Submariner, where they move all the Aztecs underwater, was kind of racist in his mind, and but I haven't seen it, so I don't know. Have you guys seen it, or do you feel like what they did to the Submariner, like the first mutant, they made him Mexican or something?
No, I
Yeah,
haven't
I thought
watched
it
that.
was interesting. I was like, why is he a villain? Why are the Latinos always villains? It's just it's kind of annoying, but I mean, it is what it is. I don't know.
It's like I said, it's like going back to the Bud Light thing. Then, like, you're like, I really watch. I don't care. I'm with you. Like, to me, if you want to boycott it, boycott. You don't want to watch it. Just the way it got all worked up, and like on Twitter and social media, is just like people like Kid Rock shooting it with like fucking machine guns, getting run over. To me, I was just been like, oh, okay, like this is what they're pushing now. Like, oh, I'm good, man. I'll switch over, like, and get something else. And apparently that's what's going on. I mean, their sales have tanked. And then yesterday they released a new thing on Twitter. Budweiser, they're like, we're a pro America, and we're like, we represent everybody. Like, they have a horse running through America, the Clydesdale, Dan, like
Right.
he said. And then they have like, oh, we're patriotic. We support the veterans. We support everyone. And they show them like running through St. Louis, and then they show them going to like the big cities, and then everybody in the family, they ended on a farm, a dad and a son just plowed those fields on a John Deere, fucking sharing a Budweiser.
That's what
And
I don't understand. Does this guy come out and say F
no,
hardworking Americans, America
no,
sucks? I mean, I don't understand what's wrong with this
it's nothing.
transitioning
It's an
person.
influencer. It's an influencer. It's not a commercial. They sent them beer, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Bud Light sent me this beer,"
Oh, so
and
it's
like,
not even an
no,
authorized
no.
Budweiser
They're
commercial.
like,
This guy
here,
just went on YouTube and he
to your
just dropped
first
a
year,
movie.
yeah, to your first year being a woman, and then they sent them a can with that person's picture engraved on the can. And then they're like, "Oh, talk about March Madness, right?" And then they're like, he's like, "Yeah," or the person's like, "Yeah, March Madness is around. I don't know what that is, but when you watch it, drink a Bud Light." And I guess that just pissed off everyone, you know.
Man, things like this make me happy that I'm pulling back from social media more and more. And I know we're talking about Bud Light, but I just bought a 12 pack of Coors Light yesterday, and it was a todo madre. I was drinking it, and it was fine.
Can't go wrong
Good
with
for
Coors
you.
Light,
Drink
man.
what you want, man. Like I said, I don't give a. It doesn't. It doesn't bother me, but I think there's people advocating boycotting. I'm like, that's stupid, dude. Like, it's a public company. We're in America. If you don't agree with it, then don't don't buy the product. Simple as that. And but you don't gotta be all loud about it and shit. I think that a lot of people spoke with their wallet, and that's why the CEO of Anheuser-Busch kind of issued an apology over on Saturday too, saying like, yeah, we kind of we want to include everyone, so we're listening to our base and stuff like that. That's again something that you don't know what uh your customer is, and that's a big part of of customers that support you. Like, we have listeners, if they tell us, I'm pretty sure we get data, we can be like, oh, they love it when Dan's quiet and I talk a lot, so let's gear towards having Dan talk less, you know, because we
Right.
got to listen to our base. And like Noel, he's all right, but you know, whatever. But with that
That's all
being
right.
said, just let us know what you think. FFN questions. We listen to our listeners and fan base. If you need me to talk less, maybe we'll listen. But with that being said, let's go into our. It's gonna take us to our article of the week. So I picked this week's article. It kind of caught my eye. You know me, man. We always talk about. I know Noel is big into the stuff that we put into our bodies, like electronics and like that Elon Musk thing where you put a fucking sword in your brain to help you do shit. So this guy, this futurist, Ray Kurzweil, he predicts that we will achieve immortality in 8 years. And when he has predicted futuristic events or something, he's been 86% accurate. His accuracy is 86%. Um, Let me see. What did he write here? In 1990, he predicted the world's best chess player would lose to a computer by 2000. It happened in 1997. He also predicted in 1999 by 2023 $1,000 laptop would have a human's brain, computer power, and storage capacity. That's happened. Uh, Now the Google engineer believes technology is set to become so powerful, it'll help humans live forever, is what is known as singularity. For what people who don't know, singularity is, it's a I can't say the word. It's a point where artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence and changes the path of our evolution.
Theoretical.
Theoretical. There you go. Thank you, Dan. Maybe we should have you talk more.
No.
Let me see. So with that, he says they believe with nanobots that can cure us. Here, these tiny robots will repair damaged cells and tissues that deteriorate as the body ages and make us immune to diseases like cancer. It says immune, it doesn't say it cures. So he also believes they will lead to age reversing. The nanobots will be age reversing. So I don't know if you guys want to live forever. Is that something you would do? Like, me and Dan were kind of talking before you jumped on earlier and all. Like, this seems like the movie of I Am Legend. I don't know if you remember that. They were injecting people with nanobots to cure them cancer and diseases, and next thing you know, they turn into zombies. But if we can live forever in this human body, I don't know if they're talking about like some AI, or they store some shit in somewhere else, or they make where you get put mechanical or electrical shit into your body. Would you do that? I mean, I don't know, like, if you're, like, say your wife or your partner doesn't want to. I mean, is that something you would consider? I mean, it's a discussion to be had if we do achieve it.
Yeah, I was contemplating that recently, actually, maybe like a week or two ago, and I was wondering, like, we're getting closer and closer to this kind of technology. AI is becoming more of like a reality where it's going to be changing like the very way we live our lives, kind of how the internet did. When the internet first came, it changed so many different areas of human living and just the way we interact with each other and with the world. And so I'm thinking AI is going to be the similar thing. They call it like I think a paradigm shift. It's like a shift into like this new just style of living, you know. And so when it gets to the point where we can put nanotech in our own
Yeah,
bodies,
nanotech. Thank you.
um, and this isn't like a new idea. People have had this like this is like a science fiction idea that's just becoming more likely to be reality. But I had a similar idea myself for a comic book, and one of my comic book characters had that ability. He had nanotech that would heal his body, and it would only continue to evolve as time went on. His strength would develop, his intellect would develop, and it would just evolve. You know, it'd be an AI inside his own. It's like a double consciousness in a sense, you know. And like we ourselves as humans are already an ecosystem of multiple organisms because we do have bacteria in our bodies that function. It's like a microbiome that has its own life force that works symbiotically with us, our human consciousness, to like function, you know, and do everything we need to do. It's a mutual benefit. The bacteria that live in our bodies
Right.
and us, you know, keep each other going. And so I think the AI would be similar. We would be merging with machine, but we would also be like one and the same, kind of like we are our bodies, like I was just saying with the bacteria. So I don't know whether or not the AI is going to be as like safe as what they're, you know, as what this guy is suggesting, that it's going to give us an immortality. Because the way it could go, and there's multiple different ways, but as like a writer, I could see some horrific shit happening with like some Star Trek Borg type shit. Like we're gonna be like you said, singularity. We're all gonna be like fucking robots and just following, I don't know, following a dictator's, you know, commands and shit, or who knows? Maybe we could, you know, have a utopia where we're all just incredibly advanced and gifted and able to do and achieve greater heights than we've ever had in human history. Who knows?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Borg, because in Star Trek Voyager 7, she has something like this where she has nanobites or whatever in her body, and it helps her repair damage. You know, she gets shot or whatever. And then plus she has the Borg implants, so it kind of all gels together. But yeah, to me, it kind of makes me wonder if they mean that your consciousness will stay living, kind of like Andy
Yeah.
alluded to, maybe, or maybe they'll just keep your brain alive, but your body will decay because there's only so much these nanobites can do. It can't make you like you're 20 anymore. While I was at the college thing, there was a fireman trying to get people to sign up to be a fireman, and I went up to the booth just to say hi. And the guy's like, "Yeah, you want to sign up?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'm too old, and my knees, dude." He's just like, "Well, you know, if your knees are bad, not everything is gonna take that." And I'm like, "No, dude, if I bend down, I'm staying down. I'm not getting back up." So, so are these nanobites gonna be able to fix my knees to where I'm just gonna jump up and everything's gonna be fine like I was 20? So it's really, you know, kind of what does this Google guy mean? And the other thing that this article doesn't really mention is that this is kind of in a different direction, not to get too preachy, but religion tells us that there's going to be a finality to our lives, and then you go on to be with God or whatever. So do people living forever, their consciousness living forever, does this mean that you're never going to go see your creator if you believe in that? I mean, it's kind of something to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's why I said in the article it talks about they help you live longer, and then ultimately it lasts into immortality. But one of the things it says you become immune to diseases like cancer. That doesn't mean it cures it. So I think there's something going on. I think they're just gonna help you live longer. So and then what they consider immortality, that's the other thing. Like the article doesn't talk about, and that's the only thing. Like, what does that mean? Like, I think they just download you, put you on a USB stick, and then like, yeah, when we figure out some other shit, we could put all this shit into the next robot or body or whatever.
I that is part of the different theories that I think are out there, is that they can hook you up to like like a, I guess, an exoskeleton or whatever, kind of like a Terminator type shit, or maybe they can hook up like well, these theoretical nanobots that I believe they're trying to say will act like stem cells. What I think might happen is these nanobots they're talking about are going to act like stem cells, and these stem cells will. I don't know if you guys know how stem cell therapy works, but it can literally mimic like any or become any cell in your body. So a stem cell could become a knee cell, and it could fix the torn ligaments you have, or the inflammation or swelling you have. It could become brain cells. It could become whatever, whatever you can program it to be. So maybe that's because I mean, we essentially our bodies and our cells, it's a program. Like, it's a program. I don't know who wrote it. I guess God, right? Like, that's the going theory is that God created us all, but it is a program, and we've been able to program computers. So if we're able to program these nanobots to become able to be other cells, then yeah, we could regenerate ourselves indefinitely, right? Like, there's no end to it. We just keep regenerating. And what part of what makes people older is that this regeneration process slows down, and that's what leads to our eventual death is we're not able to heal the cells fast enough, then we are degrading these cells. So
Yeah, it does kind of make sense because I know that when Junior was born, they were trying to push us to like freeze his umbilical cord because I guess some of these stem cells or things are located in there to
yeah.
the point where it could help you cure things in the future, especially because it's his specific DNA and it could, possibly cure cancer or if he would have some kind of ailment or something. Yeah.
Yeah, did you guys do it?
No, man, it was some ridiculous amount, and I was just like, "This is like something rich people probably do, or people that are like, all right, I'm gonna live a life without anything, and for the chance of my kid having this." But yeah, it was just too much, and I think you mentioned it too, Andy, right? They offered it to you.
Yeah, they were pushing it. They were pushing us a lot of genetics tests and a lot of there's like all this testing you can do, and then the umbilical cord because of the stem cells. That was another thing they were pushing on us, but it was kind of pricey, and the insurance didn't cover it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever do it with my own kid in the future, but I mean, it all depends on the price. Because that is interesting technology, or that is an interesting like technique that people can do is use stem cells to repair like their own bodies and stuff. So yeah, I mean, this nano thing theory, I think, man, it's possible. Like weirder things have happened.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe it's so expensive because it's kind of newish tech. And maybe in 8 years, it's going to be something more easily done to the point where you can do this when you're born. They freeze umbilical cords for a more of a affordable price, and then that way, more people do live longer because they can cure cancer and do other things.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's my guess is so. I guess what I'm asking, if the nanobites, would you inject them for the immortality? I mean, knowing what you know now, can you make a decision just based off what you read in the article? I mean, at this point, I think I would probably say no. What I've read so far, I need a little bit more details. Even if it helps you live longer, I mean, I think I'm leaning towards no.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. Maybe I would wait for like the second or third wave. Like I wouldn't want to be that first guy getting the COVID vaccine. I'd be like, I'll wait until a couple thousand go up in the line and like, oh, okay, everybody survived the week. All right, I'll go up there and get the COVID vaccine next.
Well, what about you don't know? Maybe.
I think I want to see more like evidence of how it's going to affect people. And then once this happens, like let's say 8 years from now, I want to see how the ghost hunting technology goes because I want to see if we can communicate with the ghost and be like, hey, is there a heaven and hell? Is there something? What are you seeing? Because that's always fascinated me is that when people do these ghost hunts, they do it like in the most dumb way, and they just ask, "What's your name?" and all this stupid shit. I'm like, why don't you ask them, well, like what they're experiencing after death? Like,
I, I gotta send you some videos, Noel. I mean, just real quick. I like watching a lot of like ghost paranormal videos, and the new trend and all that bullshit is people fighting ghosts. And like this, they set up cameras, and this guy's like, there's one dude who's beating him up with bats and shit, and then you see like the shadow disappear. It's fucking hilarious. And then there's one guy that he hears a ghost in like the edge of his house, and he boiled some water, and the ghost is like moaning. You hear him moaning like and he throws this boiling water at this spot, and then you hear the ghost scream, and you see like a silhouette of a body, and I'm just like, I think this shit's fake, but whatever. Like, and it had me fucking laughing because the ghost started screaming more.
you just dip your hands in like some bucket of holy water and just start throwing fists.
Yeah, exactly.
On the next episode of Ghost Fighters. Well, speaking of the next episode, I think that's it for us. We'd like to thank you all for listening. Remember to follow Freeform Network on Twitter at Freeform Network. Send in those questions and suggestions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. Visit our webpage, Andy loves it, freeformnetwork.podbean.com. There you're going to see all of our episodes, all of our archives. We're nearing 200 episodes of Freeform Network, and then we got a few little odds and ends for specials. So, yeah, man, we're getting up there. So we'd like to thank you for helping us keep this going. Hit that like and subscribe button in whatever platform that you're viewing this. But for Freeform Radio, we got Andy.
It's all good, Andy, and we'll catch you next time.
And we got Noel.
Thank everybody for listening. We appreciate you.
And I'm Daniel. I'd like to thank you all for listening. Hope to catch you on the next one. So this one's yours, Andy.
That was cool, Dad.